Hello everyone, welcome to IT Pro Dev. Quite an inspiring talk by Dr. Stalikas, right? Good morning from Munich. I am George, and I know that we don't have enough time, so I will try to make it quick, as fast as I can. So let me switch immediately to our presentation. I hope you can see everything. And actually, now I noticed that my background here is quite the opposite. I hope flipped. I hope that you can see everything correctly. Anyway, now let's start. First of all, as Trump would say, our beautiful sponsors, pay them a visit because they help a lot to have this event. So it would be nice. And let me quickly go through to who I am. I am George. I am a software architect working here in Munich for TechCycle Solutions. I'm organizer of Munich.net Meetup and organizer of TypeScript Meetup. If you want to find me, reach out somehow. You can do it during the event, of course, but you can also find me through my Twitter handle, my GitHub, my blog post, and you can see there is a pattern here. So this is the key. Let's say my name and my surname is the key to find me in every medium. So what we're going to see in my session, we're going to create an package and we're going to publish it, build it, and test it, of course, using and Azure DevOps. How are we going to do that? We are going to create first a dummy.NET Core library. We are going to share our code to github.com, and let me, the layout is, I hope you can see the screen correctly. Then we are going to use DevOps, get the code from GitHub, and build it and publish it to nuget.org. So what we are going to do first is actually create our .NET Core library. There are three things to pay attention here. The code is irrelevant. It will just be a hello world. First thing is the package ID. Second, the package version. And third, the licensing. These three properties are mandatory in order to publish a Nuget package, although you do understand that if you want to publish a Nuget package and reach out to the world, you will also need tags, for example, you will need description, you will need everything for your for the people to actually find you. We will go through each of one of these three properties pretty quickly. The package ID, of course, you understand, it's here and it's the name of your package. You should find, of course, a name that makes some sense. The second one is the package version, this one here. We will talk about the package version and how you will how we need to fill this field. And the third one, the mandatory, the license, you see here. Let's first go to our package versioning. Semantic versioning, that is what we need to use. Most of you already know that these three numbers here are actually major, minor, and patch, right? So, sorry, here. So, major. When we are changing the major version, it means that we made incompatible changes to our API. It means that everyone that was in version 1 and wants to update to version 2, they will have to refactor, do something with their code because most probably it will not work. Minor, the second number here, is when we are adding functionality but in a backward compatible manner, meaning that whoever wants to update, they can do it. You can use our new functionality and it will hopefully not break your code. And the last one, the patch here, is minor bug fixes that, of course, do not break compatibility. Now, there are a bit more. We can add this dash notation that we can add additional information. For example, the dash alpha. This is typically work in progress, experimentation. No, you should, of course, not use it in production, but you can use it just to play around and see if things work. Beta is the second in the software versioning cycle. This version, the version that you characterize as beta, is planned for next release, is almost ready, it's feature complete. It may contain known bugs, but it's out there for you to test it, not in production, but to actually see if it is available for to publish it. Last, not almost last one in this cycle, the RC. This is the release candidate. This means that it's a potential final and stable version unless significant findings, unless significant bugs were found. So you have a release candidate. Most probably, if you are lucky one, you will have one. But you can see here for the .NET Starter library, Microsoft is already in 2, and you can always see RC4 and 5 and many big numbers. The last one available in Nuget 4, 3 and above is the dot notation that you can add the build number, this one here. This is supported if for big project, of course, if you want to monitor what is published and what build number is published. Of course, these are the major notations that you can use. Microsoft uses a lot more, and this is up to you actually, but this is the standard way of doing things. Next one, the package licensing. I'm not going to get details about the SPDX specification. You can go. I'm not going to because we don't have enough time. I think it's 10:07 already, almost 40 minutes left. So what is important, I think, to know is this one. You can use MIT Apache license. Both are valid and both are saying the same thing. What is get my software, do whatever you want with it, but just don't sue me. Yeah, MIT in an extremely short way, and Apache says it in a big way, complicated way. Lawyers do like it because Apache 2.0 gets into details about what you can do and why you cannot sue me. So what we're going to do as a first step, we are going to create a dummy project, a Hello World project. And as I see here, it's a Hello Worlds project for some reason. Anyway, we're going to create this project and we're going to add these properties and then test it. There is, let's go back here. There is a checkbox here that will allow us to actually build a Nuget package and test it before we actually get into that process of publishing our solution. Let me get out of the presentation and start a studio. I think I already started one. Yep, it's here. We're gonna use a class library, nothing very important here. Let's name it IT Pro Dev. I should save it. Yeah. Serious just go to source reports. I will find it there. Obviously, it takes some time because I think streaming makes my PC a bit slower. But anyway, and let me push that window here again. First of all, I will copy some code because it's not very important. I will just copy first of all the Hello World thing here, and then I will come and add our test solution. Oops, not existing project. Add new project. MS test. It's here already. Let's name it IT Pro Dev. No, IT Pro Dev tests. Create, and I will copy the code that I have for our test. Come on. And we are here. I think I need to add the reference, right? And yeah, let me do it. Sometimes Studio is not very helpful, but anyway, I think we are done. Now the important part, of course, and I didn't correct the Hello Worlds, but anyway, I am ready for discoveries from NASA. So let's go here. Properties. These are the package properties, and these are the important things. Let's just name it IT Pro Dev. Authors here, of course, you should fill up everything, but the important thing is here, the package version and the licensing. As an experiment, I will just omit the license information from here. I will build, and then we will try to upload our package directly to Nuget, so we'll see what it has to say. And it was George Kosmidis repos, isn't it? Where was the code? Where did I save it? It was here. I built it already, so if we go to bin debug, we can see our Nuget package. Before we upload it, it's a nice opportunity to see something else. Now, if I right click here, use 7-zip, I can extract the Nuget package, which means it's just a single zip file, right? And in here, I can see a few things. First of all, I have my assembly. The second thing I can see is that I have this detail manifest file, this specification, which actually contains, I don't know why it always opens in the wrong screen, actually contains all the informations that I used, that I put in those properties. Third one that you might notice is that this format actually is the OpenXML format here, right? So after this small parenthesis, let me get going. I will open up a window here, go to Nuget.org and bring it to our session here. Let's go to my profile, manage packages, publish packages. As you can see, I already uploaded this package. It was during testing this presentation, and I don't know why I have downloads already, but anyway, we are already at version 102. That's totally fine. We'll test another thing. That means let's go here and back here. I will delete this because we don't need it. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we don't need it anymore. Now I can just drag and drop my package. This is that simple. This is the first warning. First of all, we get a warning that IT Pro Dev and version 100 already exist as a package, and that means we cannot upload it, we cannot overwrite it. What is the last package version? Let me quickly check. It's 102. So what we need to do, of course, is come to our package here and change it to 103. I will rebuild, get the new package, bring it here, manage packages. Where did I click? Manage packages, add new, and drag and drop. Then we get our second warning, which is actually what I wanted to show you. It says here that we don't have a license, and this field is mandatory. Easy to solve. We can just use here, we can just write MIT. We can upload our license, but that is easier. And let's go back again. Now that the package is not uploaded, we can use the same version, of course. And so if we come and move it here, we will see that it was accepted. All the information that we added in our package are here. We can also additionally add some markup language and we can submit it. Let's do that now. The info here says that the package will be published in a while. The last package, and I don't know where I found it, who downloaded this package. Anyway, the last package is in validating status. It will be listed at least before we finish this talk. So yeah, we will try with 104 to publish 104 from Azure DevOps. So that was a quick one because I don't want to spend much time here. It is 10:15 already. So let's go on with our next part, which is GitHub. Let me start the presentation. We tested our package already, and now GitHub.com. We're going to create a repo in GitHub and we're going to upload our code. Of course, we need to find a nice name and initially to choose between public and private repos. Last time I checked, these two here were the only difference of between public and private repos. There was no other difference, but let me show them here. But I'm not so sure, don't take my word about it. It makes sense though that if you are in a public repo, you need to protect your branches. These limitations here apply to private repos, right? Public repos have everything. So we're going to create a public repo to protect our branch, and then we're going to publish it. There are many ways to do it. Since we have no history, that's a new code, we will just clone and push it, and then we will play around with some rules to protect our branches. Two things to pay attention here. First of all, we need to protect our branches, right? We need to have a pull request. That makes sense. You cannot, since you are going public and you should potentially allow contributions to your package, it makes sense that you want to review whatever code gets in your master branches. So yeah, we will require pull request reviews. Second thing is some status checks. What status checks means is that, yeah, you will manually review your pull request, but there are some rules in order to at least have a pull request you must follow. One of those, the default one, is that branches needs to be up to date. I will do my best to have some time to actually see how we can add custom rules, custom checks for our branches. What are we going to, what workflow are we going to use? We're going to use trunk-based development flow, but before I get there, let me quickly go through some of these, let me go back, some of these flows. First of all, the one that you most probably know, Git flow. Let me go here and find a good image. That's okay. Let's see. Let's assume this one. Can I open it in a bigger tab? Yeah. So this is the most common, let's say, flow that at least I'm using. This is not the flow that we're going to use. This flow contains two branches, the develop branch and the master branch. The master branch reflects what we have out there, and the develop branch reflects our work. So master branch always contains valid versions. When we want to create a new feature, when we have a request, we create a branch out of the develop branch, named usually feature branches. We work, push our commits, and then we push back to develop. Here, this point is where our code review is usually. When we are ready, we have all our features for our next version. We create a release candidate branch. We start working on it, bug fixes only. We merge it backward to develop branch, so we have our develop branch as updated as possible. And when we are ready, I think I chose the wrong image, but anyway, let's see if I can find another one better. Yeah, probably this one. When we are ready, we were here, we push to master, we merge to master. And here is this merge usually when we have our automation. We pick up the code, build it, and publish it, send it to our customer, do whatever we want. This is the classical Git flow model. We're gonna see also another model which is called GitHub flow, which is a bit closer to what we are going to do. There is this nice interactive way of understanding the GitHub flow. So only one indefinite branch here. It was called master. Now we call it main. When we want to start a new feature, we create a branch from main here, and we start adding our commits, our work. When we are done, we create a pull request which allow us to start collaborating with our colleagues or whoever tests our code to actually make corrections. This is a big difference from our flow. When we are done, we publish immediately. That could be in production, but that could also be in a test environment. We publish there, and we actually test integration or whatever we want to test in this in production or in a test environment. Once done, once we are absolutely sure that this version, this feature is complete and it's working perfectly, we merge it back to our main. Why we do this? Because we want this meant to only have functional versions and nothing more. If something happens here, we can quickly revert to any point in this branch and we have a valid version. So we merge after. And let's go back now to the way we are going to do things. Trunk-based development, trunk-based flow. This is usually what Microsoft does. So what we're going to do, first of all, this here is the main branch or the master branch, the branch that goes on forever. From this branch, we create small feature branches here that will start working. We push our commits here, and when we are ready, we merge back to master. Here in this point is where all the collaboration is happening, where you are actually getting a feedback from your pull request if everything is okay, and if you pass or if you make your correction, do whatever you want, you merge it to your main branch. Now, at some point and some intervals, someone that is responsible of publishing our versions will create a new branch here and here that will be named release 12.0. Now, the big difference is that these branches exist on the same time. This is not a continuous branch. There is a branch 12.0, there is another branch 12.0, and there was a branch here, obviously at some point in the past, but it was 12.0. We can see that live in another branch that I have, in another project that I have in GitHub, that has at least more versions. The one that I'm actually experimenting now, and the one that we will create doesn't have these versions. Here, these are all the versions. Master, it's the old name, I should rename it to main, I know. These are the versions that I created to have this package published to nuget.org. So let's go back to our presentation to see if I missed anything. I think not, because next slide is the Azure DevOps. Yep. Let's go, that means to GitHub, and start doing our job. github.com. First thing, as we said, we are going to create a new branch, a new repo. Let's name it again IT Pro Dev. Public, as we said, we can add the README and ignore and the license. The git ignore template should be for Visual Studio, and the license could be MIT, as we already talked about. Create, and we are done. Now we can push our code, and we can start protecting our branches. Let's do the first. Let's start protecting our branches, and then we will push our code. We go to settings here, and then to branches. Add new rule here, and now we need to add the name of the branches. I know that for new branches the name is already changed from master to main, so I will write main here. This is the name pattern. We could have wild characters here. We will have it for release branches. Now these are our choices. First of all, require pull request before merging. This is what we're talking about. Nobody can merge in our main branch without pull request reviews, right? Second checkbox, this one, this is also something useful. What we can do here, what it says here is that if you create a merge request and then you push changes to your branch, then this merge request, this pull request, sorry, I'm confused because we are using GitLab at work, and it's called merge request there. Anyway, your pull request will be stale and should be dismissed. And it makes sense, because if you push some more code, probably you change what I reviewed already, so I need to review it again. This here, we will not use it. It's GitHub has a possibility to have designated owners for some of the files. So if you create a pull request, and that pull request includes files that they have a designated owner, then these owners should I'm getting messages from IT Pro Dev, sorry. This owner should also be part of the review. Now, third check, this one, quite important also, the status checks. This means that before we accept a merge, some status checks will take place. Which status checks? These are, first of all, the default one that always exists. Our local branches should be up to date before we try to push. We will see most probably how we can add custom status checks. Signed commits. Nothing we can add more details here. You can use GPG to actually sign and verify your commits and tags. If you do that, you will have this green checkbox in your commits that they are verified. Linear history. This is a big discussion. I know that this allows to have a clearer history, but on the other hand, this applies to, for me at least, how I see it, to a perfect world. You need a perfectly disciplined developer or team of developers that do everything exactly right, never make a mistake, because if they do, you could lose some history, and if they do, you will also have huge maintenance efforts to correct that. So for me, I'm not using that. This one, it's quite useful. It means that even for me that I created this repo, I'm sorry, I should follow the rules. Now for the main branch, I will not, because it's much easier to actually be a bit agile, let's say, and push directly to the main branch. But for the release branch, it makes sense, and I will explain you in a minute. So for the main branch, let me remove that. These are two rules. This is yeah, you need to, it's self-explanatory. This is git push force, and this is to allow delete branches. Of course, for this branch, we should not allow it. Create, yeah, thank you, GitHub. Let me quickly enough, sorry for this, I don't know. I hope I write it correctly, yep. And we saved our branch, our first rule. Now, we need to add another one for release branches, release star. This is the wild character. This applies to any branch that starts with release. And we mostly do the same. All the status checks. We include here administrators, and now it makes sense. Imagine having Studio open, working accidentally on, where is my Studio? This one. Working accidentally on the release branch and pushing your code. If we have all our automation complete, that means that it will push directly to Nuget, and that doesn't make sense, right? So for the release branches, it makes sense to include administrators also for this presentation. So let me do that. No password, thankfully, it's done. And we are done with the rules. Now it says that this is applied to 0 branches and it's applied to 1 branch, sorry, and this to 0 branches. If we move to another, it's here already. Yep. If we check this one, my other Nuget package will see that the rule with the character applies to all release branches. Now, what we can do is actually start pushing our code. Let's go here. We can clone. One way we can do this is come here to our debug, and I will need to close Studio for a minute. And oh no, I can do it in my desktop here. Git bash. It's again wrong screen for some reason. Git clone, and I'm pasting now what I got from GitHub. Cloning. Again, I believe wrong screen. Let me copy that and close this one. Yeah, wrong screen. Let me bring the folder over here, and I need to minimize quite a few windows on the other screen. This is what we cloned from GitHub. We can paste directly our code here. Since we have our git ignore, we don't care about what is in our build. Again, wrong screen. I don't know why they choose the wrong screen all the time. Git add everything. Git commit with, I don't know, let's say initial commit as message git push. I could do that from Studio, but anyway, usually I'm doing that from Git bash. And now if I open up Studio just to share it, I can go back anyway to our repo in GitHub, and there's everything. We are ready now to use Azure DevOps to actually connect with Nuget and push everything. So let's go back to my presentation here. And you know, I was planning to actually make this presentation, but it's already 10:30. I don't have enough time, so we can switch directly to Azure DevOps. Just one note here. These are the differences I checked a few months ago. The private, we can create private or public repos. The private repos have these limitations. One free parallel job. For small projects, it's quite enough, I would say. Actually, everything is quite enough if you have a small project, but if you're gonna go public, then it makes sense to have a public repo here as well, a public project. I will not go through everything because we don't have the time. I will go directly to Azure DevOps. Just type Azure DevOps here. Click the first result, Google's helps. Sign into Azure. You can start for free if you don't have an account. I hope I will not need a password here. And here we are. We click here, new project. Let me check my control panel here. I hope everything works and cool. Project name, let's name it IT Pro Dev. This is a public and private choice that we immediately have. Let's choose public for now. I will show you in a minute what makes sense maybe to actually have a private repo. It takes some time, but it will be here. First thing we see is the boards. It's agile boards. We don't need that. We're not going to use it. So if we go to settings here, top left, bottom left corner, and scroll down, we will see all the available Azure DevOps services. What we want is the pipelines, of course, and what we don't want is the boards. If we go quickly enough, though, you will see that we have this agile planning boards. We have repo if we want to use it instead of GitHub, our pipelines that we're going to use, test plans for structural manual testing, and artifacts that we could use instead of Nuget. It's just a feed server again. So let's go back to IT Pro Dev since we enabled the correct service. Let's go back to our project. We will see it here. First thing we do is click on the pipelines. We have a create pipeline here. We don't have any other pipeline yet. We create a pipeline. Now you will see how easy it is. We see we are going through a wizard here. First question is, where is the GitHub? Where is our code? You have many choices. GitHub is one. You will be asked to create a service connection if you never done that before, but I did. We have a list of all our repos. This is the last one that we care about. And here we have a list of available agents that you can use to actually do your job. You see that there are tens of solutions. We need ASP.NET. And this is it. We get directly a YAML file. I will rename that now because it's very useful. It gives weird names, Azure Pipelines and Azure Pipelines 1 if you want to create a new one. So let's name that to it's main. We said save and run. Nothing to change here. 10 more minutes. Maybe we'll need another 5 minutes. I'm sorry, but my voice is not working as the time passes. Maybe I will have a zip. So it's building already, right? We should quickly jump into the interesting pipeline, and it will be the one that will help us get our code from Azure DevOps and push it to Nuget. In order to do that, the first thing that we should do is create a service reference between Azure DevOps and Nuget.org. This is done again by project settings, and I believe this will work. I hope I don't have a problem here, but anyway, it will work. Let's go again to project settings. Did I click? Yeah. We see as a menu item here, service connections. This is the service connection I have with GitHub. You will create it, but you will create it through that wizard of actually selecting your correct project. You don't need to come here. But for Nuget is quite important. We click new service connection here. There are many choices. We search for Nuget. This is the one. Next, feed URL. We are using the public server, so it's easy, and we need an API key. How we get that? Let's go to nuget.org. My name, API keys, create. I have this already. Let me delete it because I was testing, of course. IT Pro Dev expires in 1 year. You have more choices here. This is a quite important choice. You can either, with this key, you can either push new packages or you can just push updates for the packages you already have. It makes sense to have this one because whoever has this key, it means that he can or she publish new packages in your name. So yeah, probably you want to avoid that. This is the only requirement here. Of course, you can, if you have a big team, you can play around. And this requirement, new versions, applies to only this package and nothing else. We create it, and we get the opportunity to copy the key for a specific period of time. This, after a while, it will disappear, as these do, and we will not be able to copy it again. We have to create a new one. So since we copied, let's go back to Azure DevOps and paste it here. This is it. Service connection name, yeah. IT Pro Dev, and it makes sense usually to actually have different slightly different names. I'm right now naming everything IT Pro Dev, which doesn't make sense, but anyway, this is our service reference. Now, how we use it? Let's go back to the pipelines. Again, new pipeline here. Old one was successful. GitHub. Our repo, ASP.NET again, we get a YAML ready. Let's rename that to release. And of course, this is not good enough since I was planning to create this step by step with you, but we don't have the time right now. So I will go to my presentation, which I have the YAML ready, and I will copy it here. And I will come here and paste it. So, but maybe we can see just a few things quickly enough. We are using a Windows latest. You could use Ubuntu or whatever you want. We are building .NET Core. We are using .NET Core to build. If you click in it, you can see the choice here. We are using VS Test. We could use .NET Core to build again, but of course, I try to be as inclusive as I could to see all the choices here. We are using .NET Core to pack to create our Nuget package. We then use another task to publish our artifacts to Pipeline workspace. And then we are using Nuget task. If I click here, settings, I get this nice screen over here that I can edit. And this is true for every, of course, to push it to Nuget.org. How are we doing this? First of all, we are choosing from the art directory where we published everything that's a Nuget package. It's only once. We don't need into trouble and naming it right now. We only have one nupkg. And we are using this service connection. Now, my thing, it's named service connection in project settings, named Nuget server here, and it's named publish feed credentials here. It's all the same. It could be a bit better here, but it's not a problem, I guess. Now, since we have another 5 minutes and we are almost ready, let's play around just 1 minute with the YAML editor here. You can start writing whatever you want if you know what you're going to write. For example, task, and you get a list of tasks. You know, let's say we want to use AppSender test or something, and then we know what we're the properties there. Or in order to add a new task, come on, you can go here and search for it. For example, Node.js. I can Node.js, yeah, it's the installer, or use Gulp. Anything you want, you can find it, correct, fill in the details, add it, and you will have it as a task in your YAML. And the important thing is, if I save it and run, this will of course fail creating pipeline. The important thing is that the pipelines are actually saved here. If I refresh, they are both here. The YAML files, actually, I'm saying pipeline, I'm sorry. That which means you can just pull them here. Again, wrong screen. You can just pull them and they are here. So you can edit them directly from here if you don't want to use Azure DevOps. Now, if we go to our solution here, we see that we are in main and we have the version, the current version that we have here, it's 1.3. If we push a change, let's say 104, and we push it to main, let's name it this. I have another 3 minutes. Maybe I will need 5 minutes more, but let's see if I can have 5 minutes from your break. I pushed it already. If we go back to Azure DevOps now, here, and to our pipelines, here, the pipeline on main, that was the old one, started already. Now, this is a nice thing to do, actually rename the pipelines. Oops, sorry. Go again to pipelines, rename it. This is, let's name it, this is the second one that we did. So this is the release pipeline. And this is the first one that we did. And let's rename it to master pipeline. So you see that once we pushed, the master pipeline started already, and it's building with this weird name that I gave. Yeah, it should be 1.0.4, but anyway, it's building already and it's tested already. And if we go back to our settings here, to GitHub and branches, and then main, we can actually see here our pipelines, and these are the additional status checks. Now, there is a delay. I should have renamed them a minute ago, but if we check this one and save changes, then this pipeline would be part of the status checks, which means that everyone that tries to merge, it will first build and see if it passes all of our unit tests or whatever other rule we have in our YAML file, and then it will allow to create a merge request, right? So this was the status checks. Now, the last part, of course, this one succeeded, but now let's create a release branch, and this is the last thing that we should do. Create a release branch and try to push our code with our version. I think it should be 104. Let's see, our last one here is 103. So we have, let's go in our solution, IT Pro Dev. It's, we are here already, sorry, 104, correct. So let's go to Git changes, main, and create a branch named release v1.4. New branch created, and then, yep, push it. Now that we did that, let's give it a second. Yep, now that we did that, if we go to our branches here, first of all, we see it here. It's done already. And if we go to our pipelines, that should fire the release pipeline, correct? That starts to build everything and publishes. The previous pipeline, the release pipeline, failed because apparently we tried to publish the same version and we have this same message. Come on. A package ID with a package with ID itprodev and version 103 already exists. This was our only error. And if we go back here now to our current build, we will most probably see that everything succeeds. I think it will need a minute and it's quite about time. Let's just give it its time, and we will see at the end that here we will have, let's go to our manage packages, we will have another fresh version with Azure DevOps, pushed with Azure DevOps. Testing, of course, we don't have any problems there. Yeah, publishing to our local working repo, the workspace, pushing to Nuget, done. So if we go here, back to Nuget, we will see that we have our 104 package. So that was it. Let me bring back the presentation. That was it from me. I'm sorry, but this is, this is a 1 hour presentation. So the last parts was quite fast, I would say. But anyway, I did my best. Let's hope that you understand everything. I will be around if you want to talk to me. If you saw the initial presentation, there is a way to communicate, top right corner. Find me there, or top left, I don't remember. Find me there. Up until that time, stay safe. I have a nice recommendation for this. This is a social distance zapper, so you can extend it up to 5 feet. That is around 3 meters to 2.6 or something, to keep people away from you, or you can use Norton antivirus to protect you. And Norton is not a sponsor. Thank you all, guys and girls. Let me go back to my control panel here and leave you. Thank you.